are you?
Oh, you did like it. I told you.
Hello.
Hello. So it's true. I am in a different location today. I'm at Webster Groves. So I don't have my creepy glow in the dark Dracula
I thought you looked
behind
like you
me.
were actually at a library.
You can tell because of all the boxes.
Yes. That's fun.
Looks like we still have people joining. So I'm just going to give it another minute. Okay, 2 o'clock. Tony said he was not going to be able to join us today, so I'm sorry to say we will not have our esteemed friend with us. But welcome, everyone. I feel like I see at least a couple of new names, which is really exciting. These meetings are really casual. Attendance is not required, so you don't have to put your name in chat or anything. If you have a topic you'd like to discuss, you can bring it up at any time. I had a couple of things I was going to show, but if anybody has a burning question and can't stay indefinitely for the meeting, you're welcome to just chime in. The first thing I was going to discuss was the uncatalogued circulation type, and I was going to show what that source looked like. And I thought we talked about it last time, but to be honest, I can't remember. And given that we have different people come to each meeting, it seems like it doesn't hurt to just cover it twice. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so hopefully you are now seeing some standard reports. And I was just going to show a couple of things. So the uncatalogued type is one that libraries can choose to use for things that they circulate, but which they don't really expect patrons to return. So items from a seed library are very common, or uncatalogued paperbacks. And we check them out to patrons because we like there to be a circulation, because more circulations is always a good thing. But we don't really expect those things to be returned. So we check them out under a slightly different method than other things. So that's when you click on the uncatalogue type, and then you can choose from your library's dropdown. And then your library may have specific types in that dropdown. I don't know how widely used it is, but we got into a long conversation at the user conference about this because someone had asked Karen and I if we knew if the uncatalogued circulations were included on the standard source that we use to count circulations. So after the move to aged circulations, we moved to combined aged and active circulations as our primary source to count circulations. So when you're counting circulations for your library, for the previous month or for any former time period. This is the one that you should be using because it will count circulations which are still active and those which have passed beyond the 30-day period. So they've been anonymized. So combined aged and active circulations is the source. In testing, we found that combined aged and active circulations does not count uncatalogued type circulations. You have to use there's a couple different options. There is all circulation combined types is an option for you if you want to count all of the circulations together, including the uncatalogued types and aged and active circulations. That's all the circulation combined types. The limitation with this report is that you'll see that there are just not very many options to get details. So shelving location and patron permission group are not here. So when you want to count your uncatalogued circulations, you can use all circulation combined types to see the number as a unified whole. But when you do that, you're sacrificing some detail because you won't be able to see shelving location and you won't be able to see other pieces of information that we commonly like to see, like owning library for the month's circulation. If instead you prefer, you can have sort of your standard circulation report running as combined aged and active circulations, and then have a secondary report running, which is non-cataloged circulation. And with this one, you can include the non-catalog item type, which will often be something like paperback or seed library, like I said, or anything else like puzzle. Like I think some of the libraries don't really expect the puzzles to come back, or if they do, they don't expect all the pieces to come back. So if your library uses uncatalogued types circulations, in my thought, there are really two options for you. One, you can run a unified report using all circulation combined types, and that will show your uncatalogued circulations and your age circulations and your active circulations, but it will be a very simple report, just very basic. Here's a number of circulations. Or in conjunction, you can have your combined aged and active circulations report. That one can be very detailed and include pieces of information about the items. And you can run this report as a secondary report to count your non-catalog circulations and what type those were. How many people in here I mean, I feel like 3 or 4 people chimed in last time to say that their library used the uncatalogued types. I'm just curious if anyone here uses them regularly, or if you feel good about your reports covering them. Oh, Scenic does. Becky, do you mind? I'm just curious what kind of things you're circulating with that method. Oh, magazines, even the new ones, like, man, that's smart. Magazines are ephemeral, like little butterflies, you know? Oh, used to do mass market, but then they got cataloged. Yeah. Kind of sad about the demise of mass market. I mean, I know it was probably inevitable, but it's hard not to love a pocket paperback. Does anybody have any questions about the uncatalogued types? Oh, Cassie says we use them for pre-pub, previously for ILLs, to quickly get an item with a damaged barcode in the patron's hands. Yeah, that's a good idea. So you do that instead of creating an on-the-fly item and adding it to the -1. That's actually very smart because the -1 is a tedious carousel to get yourself on. I kind of like that. I'm gonna write that down and explore.
I will say I initially was confused between pre-cats and non-catalog items because don't you have to do back-end setup to have any non-cataloged items in use? So yeah, okay.
I think there's
That's
like
yeah, because I
1 or
thought
2
that
set up on
they
the
were talking about
consortium level,
pre-cats.
and
Yeah.
then you can set up other ones.
Yeah.
such a good question, Krista, that I bet maybe Karen has the answer to. I
So
think
if you've ever dealt with TCN -1, that is where all of our pre-cats go to. And I don't know if pre-cat is a MEC term or an evergreen term. Heather, do you know where that term comes from? I do not actually
I'll look
know.
at documentation while you're speaking.
We used to call in our old ILS, we called those on the fly checkouts. So they were things where there's like a little wizard that comes up and you can enter in the title real quick and you can scan a barcode or put something in the barcode. Um, Possibly scan an ISBN and then barcode, which seems simple. Anyway, it just creates a brief little record so that if somebody brings you something that you're like, I can't check this out to you for whatever reason, because it's fallen out of the catalog, because the barcode has been ripped off of it, whatever reason. You use that little wizard and you can check it out to them. And then hopefully when it comes back, it gets handed off to your cataloger and they deal with whatever the issue was that led to it not being able to be checked out. So that's a pre-cat. And again, I don't know where that word pre-cat comes from. I've never hunted for it like in the tables or anything like that. Don't know. Um, what's the other one? It is a non-cataloged item. I don't know if we can do a little demo
Yeah.
of where the non-catalog, because I had never heard of it before the MEC conference. It was brand new information to me. It's like when you go to checkout, there's a little option that you can click a drop down and say you want it, like some libraries have magazine or some libraries have seed or some libraries have paperback, and that's where the non-cataloged item is. They're very similar terms that I was very confused by when I first learned about the options. Yeah. So does that answer your question?
Yes, that answers my
Okay,
question. Thank
cool.
you.
Yeah.
Is the pre-cat what happens? Like sometimes we'll have it where, staff will scan in an item and it'll misread the barcode and it'll pop up that little box. Is that pre-cat?
That's pre-cat.
And that goes to -1?
That goes to TCN -1. Yeah.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you,
Yeah.
Karen. You've been so
Yeah.
helpful this week.
Oh, I am very glad. I've had not a lot of things go right this week, so I'm really happy to
Well,
hear
you really
that.
helped me yesterday, so thank you.
it does look like pre-cataloged is an evergreen term, and it looks like that's what they call the things that are added to the -1. And I think the idea being that they are truly pre-cataloging, which is why they all go into cataloging status when they are returned, because of the idea being that you're giving them to cataloging to take care of those things. I think realistically, it's mostly misscans. Or ISBNs. Love an ISBN. Love an ISBN scan. At least you can usually find the item when it's the ISBN scan. So that does look like an evergreen term. This one's from documentation. And then this is the standard checkout screen. Hopefully you're seeing a checkout screen. And then typically we leave it on barcode, but depending on your library setup, you will see different options here. So if I choose paperback book, I think I'm just going to do it. Oh, enter the number 1. Haha. Now I have entered a pre-cat. It gives me this automatic due date of 14 days. That is set up by your library. And then after 14 days, I think the item is due, but this just goes away if I'm not mistaken, because we don't really expect the item to be returned. So then if I want to scan items in, I go back to barcode.
We have book club kits, well, we don't call them kits in there. Because when they check out, that way we don't miss out 10 circulations. We have book club under that barcode and click on that and then put in 10. That way we count circulations for 10.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it sounds too like, Marianne, since I feel like you and I looked at your numbers and determined that you were receiving the correct numbers to count all of those circulations. So I'm hoping St. Joe is in good shape there.
Yes, I think so. And I think after what you said about it's always a big count for everything. I don't think we can get away from that. I guess misery and company and all that. I think that it's just part of the process, because I know we have, and I'm talking about the PLS fiscal year circulation is what we had been talking about before. I'd asked Heather earlier in the week about that. And because we do fine with our shelving locations, but there's so many other people other libraries, it's not consistent. So you can't tell by shelving location of, what the spinner rack is, or what the, shelf by the window, or what, whatever somebody has. So there's always some guesswork going on with that. And my director, it's like, this is always a big challenge. So was trying to get an easier way, but because, there's 14,000 lines in the Excel and I know that you said, Heather, that you mark each one of the, put a code by it, but you're still having to go through each one of those to do the code. And if I'm not mistaken, just from what you said, but I think that you can do a lot of sorting in Excel. So I think that that's what I'll probably end up doing, is just sorting by I'll call them the no-brainer ones, because, it's like all the adult fiction. Okay, those all together, and that, that's an easy, and sum those up. It's those ones that we're not sure of that you're ultimately going to have to guess.
So that is basically what Colleen has been working on. The report
Well-
that she set up is for circulation. It's a little bit challenging because the PLS asks us to sort items in a couple of different ways. If we're looking at circulation, then PLS asks us to do adult, juvenile, YA, and other, which is basically usually equipment. If we're looking at collections, we split according to 8 different categories, because we have adult fiction, adult nonfiction, juvenile fiction, nonfiction, and there's audio, video, and I think there might be also another, actually. So maybe there's 9. But in theory, the report that Colleen put together will look at your circulation for a specific time period and sort it according to the 4 audiences only. But it sounds like your director wants to see your circulation according to the more broken down categories.
Right, because that's what she reports monthly. So that's just something, that she does locally for the, our board. And, as far as, wanting to know the circulations of how many juvenile DVDs, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What she's used to reporting monthly. So, and some of the shelving locations that Colleen grouped were not the same way that we grouped them. So you're always going to have that error, the margin of error, because it's not an error, but it just doesn't match up with, because I ran both of them and gave her the numbers, and it wasn't that far off, but it was still not, and it still didn't give us what we needed. So, yes, it's good in one respect, but I don't, yeah.
Do you mind if I show the report that you and I
Oh,
were
sure.
looking at together?
Yeah.
So the question was, how do we get a breakdown of very specific audiences like juvenile DVDs from monthly circulation when we have all these disparate shelving locations? I'm not sure there's a way around a certain amount of work, but one of what I have always done for the PLS every year, at least, is you download yourself a giant spreadsheet like this one, and then, oh, everyone's faces are right above okay, there we go. Oh my gosh. Now I'm on one screen, which feels like trying to walk with one leg. So this is what I do. And of course, everyone's process will be different. And this depends on your comfort with Excel, but I'm happy to help anyone with this. And I know Karen is very adept with Excel as well, and maybe some of you. I create this category on the end. I have these specific codes, which I can input into the category. If you're fancy, you can turn this into a dropdown. I don't do that. And I input this code for each line, and then it counts over here for me. So I don't have to do too much like sorting. I mean, I do sort alphabetically because it's easy then to just click and drag. Like, I know these are all juvenile fiction. One of the ways I think you can lessen your work, Marianne, is that this spreadsheet contains quite a lot of information, which on the whole is good, but something like the inclusion of this one, item types, some of those are blank and some of them say books.
Well, because we don't even use item type anymore.
So if
we don't fill that out
we'll
because, they migrated over, and because the CircMod is what we use. But see, that was we used to call them item types in the old system. And I was confused by that too, because I thought, oh no, people aren't filling out the right. And I thought, well, it's item type. we don't fill in that field in the holdings editor any longer, but some of them migrated over.
Yeah.
And that's why. So that's not even I'm not even looking at that.
I think in your report, then, if we omit item types, and omit any information that's not just specifically relevant, you'll get many fewer lines that you need to assign codes to, because every time we split out by item type books and item type null or item type audiobooks, like that is creating a new line. So potentially we've got 3 lines instead of just 1 if we omit item types. And if you're just running the report on a monthly basis, maybe we don't need to include checkout date time, because those are also splitting it out and creating more lines for you to go through.
Well, the only thing about the type is if you can't tell by the shelving location what it is, the item type may give you a clue though.
I guess
That
that's,
would,
yeah.
that's what I noticed on some of them, because we don't have call numbers. We don't have, it's like, what are we, basing, if you're just looking at shelving location, because we couldn't, so I know, and it's different for everybody because
It
of
is.
what, yeah.
In terms of the PLS, the rule of thumb is that if we're not sure or it's mixed use, but not other, adult fiction or adult is what we have been told, I think by Corey and Terry before them, to choose. So that tends to be my default for mixed use. And I know PLS is coming up very swiftly. And of course, we've already been told that there are no changes to the PLS this year, which means we could basically get started as soon as our library's fiscal years are done. We run through June 30, so I'll be getting started on it in early July, as I expect many of you will. And I think last year's slideshows that Tony and this group put together, I thought they were very useful. So maybe we can spruce those up a little bit and give them a spin and go through them again. Does anybody else have a report, question, topic, thought that they would like to discuss?
I do.
Great, take it away.
Hold on, Hi. So I just had, and I'm sorry, I should be more prepared. It's been a wild week, but basically my director had asked me for a cash report. How much actual cash and check have gone through our 4 branches, which we discern by each one has a patron account called Cash Drawer. And that's where we run those like generic bills. That's distracting, sorry. Run those things through that don't need to be assigned to a particular patron, right? So like somebody comes in and makes copies, we don't tie that to their patron account. So my office manager each week, it's 7 days, Sunday we're closed. She gets what we call a cash report from the branch managers, where they are each day reconciling, yes, this is how much we have, here's your cash, here's your checks. I cannot make my report match that. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know if it's a timing issue. And Heather, I can send you like how I'm doing it, what I'm looking at. It's not that I'm concerned that there's any mismanagement of money or anything like that. I just can't figure out what's making it not work. The cash is the cash and the checks are the checks. What's happening?
The monetary reports are, in my experience, a real challenge. I couldn't get mine.
Good. Everybody's like this. I love it.
I had a devil of a time getting mine working, even when I was just trying for like credit cards. Eventually I cribbed one off of Tony and edited that one, which worked for me. So I think, there's a couple of ways we could go about it. Do you tend to see more transactions than you should or fewer transactions than you should?
That's a great question. It goes a little bit back and forth. It usually looks like I should have more cash than what I actually do, not by a huge amount. So like if we have $2,100 that runs through in a month, the report will show 19, or the branch managers will have actually said 1900. You know what I mean? So like it's not crazy different, and it could be a timing issue. I know those forgive payments. I keep trying to figure out how to
Forgive
get rid of
payment drives me
those.
crazy. Why are we calling it a payment?
Yeah. Like I just want cash. We call a check cash. Everything's cash. I just want cash. And they're like, are you sure you don't want forgive payments? Here's some forgive payments. And I'm like, nah. So I guess misery loves company. I'm glad to hear I'm not the only one. And it's not because we have an issue. We're just like, we are considering having like a larger formal audit done in the next few years. And I know from my own experience, they are definitely going to want to see how are we confirming our deposit. And right now it's like trust, which works for us. It's probably not going to work in a formal audit, right?
Yes.
So
I,
I'm just thinking ahead.
um, yeah, I think the way to troubleshoot, and I'd love to hear if other people have dealt with this. Like for me, the way I would troubleshoot is if you've got, a few real days of like, this is the money that we have. Um, and then I would probably run the report that you have been running. Then I would run my report and then do a comparison to see if those things are the same. And then if they're
Okay.
not, but we both think we're running a proper cash report looking for things. But I wonder, my first thought is things which are voided are showing up
That
somewhere because we're putting the exclusion on void on the wrong level in the filter because there are many places to void. There's so many more places to void things in Evergreen than there are in other ILSs. I just want people to know this. Like you can void like individual transactions that are part of a larger transaction, and you will really mess yourself up by doing so. So that's my first thought. But has anyone else done any like work with cash report that they want to talk about?
Well, right. I'll just say right now we have like a daily cash report that we run for every branch, and it matches. I mean, you might be off by a nickel or something, but it matches, no problem. It's when I try to get that, like, it started with my director, Michelle, wanting to be able to tell the board, like, this is what we did in book sale, and this is what we did in copy print backs for the month, because that's how often we have board meetings. And she gave me a number, and I'm like, that's not the number that I saw. Not a great look,
Yeah.
right? So we're pulling information from all, and that may just be the nature of it. I mean, we want to go with what we are actually depositing, but I want to have backup for that.
I bet we can figure it out
Okay.
if we run a
I'll,
couple of
I'll,
reports.
I don't like to show you what I'm doing, Heather, because I feel like really not up to standard.
This
But
is a judgment. This is a judgment-free zone.
okay. All right. It probably won't be today, but next week I'll send over what I'm working on and you can look at it. Thanks, guys.
No, it took me weeks to get it. I have a daily cash report that runs for one of my libraries too. It took me an embarrassingly long time to get it working.
Yeah, I'm afraid to touch the one I have because it works. So I'm not touching that, but I keep trying to like manipulate, All right,
I
I'll
think
stop.
first
That's
step, if you clone that one, stick it in a shared folder, and then when you message, if you send
okay.
a report help, it's better than emailing me personally because then other people can help us take a look at it.
Okay.
It won't be like the whole list.
Yeah.
It'll be like Tony and Marianne and Karen and me.
Okay.
And I think Regina is on there too. So
Okay. Thank you, guys.
you're welcome. I'm sure we can help. Who else has an exciting reports problem that they want to discuss?
My only follow-up from last meeting was I sent out my question to the like broader Evergreen reports list or cataloging reports or cataloging. I can't remember who I sent it to. And basically everybody was like, yeah, no, we don't know how to do that either. You have to do it in Excel. I'm like, okay, well, all right. If nobody knows how to do it, I won't feel so bad that I don't know how to do it.
That was the report for finding a MARC record that does not have a certain tag, right?
Yep. I wanted to find MARC records that were missing the 082 tag and finding a missing tag seems to be impossible. I haven't sent it into the help desk at Equinox. I wonder if they'll probably just tell me they'll do it in SQL, which isn't helpful for me.
I mean,
But
it's nice to
it was nice
know.
that nobody knew how to do
It is
it.
nice to know that you didn't overlook something obvious. I tried to run a report this week, and it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not even sure it's possible. And maybe someone has this. I would absolutely love this. A report of accounts which were renewed during the last week. Because I tried using a source called ILS user change log, and it was resolvedly empty just every time I ran it. And I'm not even sure it would contain what I need anyway, because I think it's such a challenge for the system to pin down that you changed the expiration date, but not the address. So I suspect it is not possible. But if anyone here has that, I would love to hear it. And then if nobody does, I'm going to open a ticket with support and see if anybody does. And they'll probably tell me no, and that's okay. Because we're thinking about moving to a longer expiration period. And that's a real challenge for staff to remember, like when you're moving anything beyond the default. So having a double check on that would be, and it's so easy to run a report of newly registered patrons, like that's easy. It's the renewals. Plus, that would just be nice to have. Like, if you don't count it, it doesn't matter. So if we're not keeping track of patrons we're renewing, then
I will say I have had really good luck a couple times sending into the help desk, like, here is this piece of information that I can see in Evergreen. What reporter path will get me to that piece of information? Like they seem I for whatever reason that seems to click with the help desk guys. And oftentimes it's a weirdly named source path that I would have never clicked on because I didn't know what it meant. And then you have to filter it on some like numerical value because there's some code on the back end and they'll be like, oh yeah, it's this, is this. And like they can see it in the database and I can't see it in the database. But it that has gotten me. So like, yeah, I mean, if you sent them in like what source path gets me to change of this tiny piece, I don't, they might be like, oh, it's this. And it will be something so weird that we never would have thought of it.
I like
I don't
your
know.
reports language speak. That's really good.
Well, I
What's the
send them, I'm
source
like, I
path
can
for
see
this
it
data
here.
point?
Where does that live in the database? Please tell me. And then what are the names for paths in the reporter?
Yeah, that's a really good idea, Karen. Yeah, I was actually thinking of one that I was trying to come up with to find something that is listed in the primary identification field. Because in the past, we did use Social Security like the last four when we were using the collection agency. And of course, we've stopped doing that and we've tried to clear anything that we see. But I was wanting to do a report just to try to go ahead and get everything absolutely cleared. And I was struggling to find anything to be able to pull up because that's where we would put it. There was a primary identification type. You would select the social, the SSN, and then we would put the last four in the primary identification. And that's where that lived.
That should be doable. I don't know. Do we want to work on it? I can share my screen and we can.
Evan over here, we just did that like 2 weeks ago. They're wanting to check that primary identity, how I had you take out the driver's license numbers. Where can he share that
If he has
report?
if there's a template name,
Oh, he said there was something in there already that he used. Do you remember?
Oh, okay.
love it.
Yeah, it's been a while
Oh,
since I
I'm
even
sorry.
tried to.
Equinox ran it. He didn't do it. My fault. Sorry. I was like, oh, he just did that. Okay, so Equinox had to do that. I think they get really persnickety, it seems, when it's patron information. It's like so much harder to manipulate that, for me at least, when it's a particular, like I couldn't get a list of everything on the primary identification.
Right, because I would just like to have a list of patrons that has something in that
So
field and
yeah.
then be able to kind of go through Or
Did
at the
they do
very
the fix
least,
for you
if
too?
they, I mean, I know sometimes it'll be switched as far as the type, where it may be other or something, but there may still be that number in the primary identification field. And I would just like, even if we could just find something that just had all of the SSN options.
Forgive the totally terrible name. I'm just doing this so we can hop right in and see.
Because that would also work, you know, if you're using secondary identification type, we've added a few things in that for our own records too. So
So would it be ID or identification name? Okay, you know what we're gonna do is we're gonna run this report on one patron and see, because that will run really fast. So here, this is my trick when I do not know like which field is supposed to be running. I do it for one patron and just add information and then I just run it. This is my barcode. So you know. Okay, that should take like 30 seconds to run. I feel so sure we should be able to do this, but that has happened to me before and we were not able to do it. Can you batch change that, Leanne, or do you have to change them individually?
that's what I didn't know. But if we at least just had a list, I mean, it would be nice if we could batch edit and just like clear it out.
While that runs, I want to open a patron bucket because I have found that oh, I guess I don't have any. Karen, do you have any user buckets handy on your login?
I don't think I don't do anything with users.
That's okay.
Everything in this meeting so far, I'm like cache and users, absolutely not. Books and items only.
Put all my test cards all my Heather cards in a bucket. Okay, go away card number. Because I mean, everybody here, right, probably has a bunch of test cards. Like these cards are all me. I'm gonna have a bucket of Heathers. Okay. Add the bucket, new bucket. Bucket of Heathers. Because now I just want to see if that is something we can batch change. And I agree, of course, having the list is invaluable no matter what. But while we're waiting for that to run, boo. So we've got home library, main profile, access level, BARD, active, juvenile, and expiration date. Well, even so. All right, let's see if that has run yet.
Right.
Go to our outputs. Okay, let's see if we got anything. Okay, so we've got, identification, 1 is driver's license, 3 is other. So I'm betting 2 is SSN, which means we would want to pull patrons who are using ID type 2.
Okay, yeah, so it probably is just by the list. So driver's license, SSN, other, state ID, and passport. That makes sense.
All right, so what would we want to see? We would want to see the current barcode. Put that up here. What did that output look like? So I think if I'm not mistaken, though, you may need to run this report twice, one for primary and one for secondary, because I don't think we can do a Boolean or where it's like
Right.
SSN here or SSN there.
At least the process of setting up the report would be the same.
Okay, so we're gonna have it so that it shows, I'll just leave both of those in there. It's a little too much information, but that's all right. And then where the primary identification type is, well, that says link, which is not typically good, but I think maybe we can just do, maybe we'll see if it works. Hang on. Okay, great. So we can just select it. Love that.
Ah, okay.
And then we will want home library. Why can't I find that? Okay, I'm overlooking it. Somebody help me.
What was it you were looking
Oh,
for?
there it is. Home library.
Home library. Okay.
I swear it's called different things in different places. So let's see. We'll probably want the org ID. Okay, great. I always click supply filter value to make sure that I'm not accidentally adding one of the fields where you have to type it in letter by letter and get it exactly correct. So patrons with info in the primary ID field, SSN. Save it in my patrons folder. We'll save, get back to patrons folder, and now we'll try to run it and see. If you don't mind, I'm just gonna run it for, I'll just run it for one of my libraries.
Okay.
I think that Brentwood is smaller, so that should run a little faster. Not I think. Brentwood is one of my mid-size. Okay. Oh, this is kind of exciting. So we used to also keep driver's license numbers in our, I mean, not full numbers typically, but we did make a move like many others to get rid of that sort of personally identifiable information. I mean, nobody
Right.
be
Yeah, because we
responsible,
no longer use the collection agency, so there is no need for that.
right? Ooh, fingers crossed on one. That's a fun one. Anybody have anything while we wait? I feel like I had another topic written down, but I looked through my list and I don't. Hmm. Let me put my outputs and see. Oh, it already ran. Wow. That's either very good or very bad.
Well, if it took a little time, surely there's something.
Okay. So I got it here in my. Okay, it's nothing. Love that. Because I always want there to be like one to prove that the report worked.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run it again for a larger group. And it ran so quickly. Maybe it will just run again super quickly.
Heather, I'll change my ID type to SSN if you want to run it for Kirkwood and see. Yeah, okay, hang on. I've got my
Smart. I love
my
it.
account up here. I'm gonna
You're
change
registered at Kirkwood,
that.
right?
Yep. Yep. Okay, what's other? I'm gonna save.
The treasure.
Okay. My primary identification type is now SSN, so there's at least one at Kirkwood.
Thank you. Yay. All right. Nope. Oh, picked the wrong one. Come back. Oh. All right. Now we just go and refresh it over and over again. Okay. I mean, it's exciting if it works. It's irritating if it doesn't work. That's true of so many things. Oh, there's a chat that I overlooked. Oh, so Krista has said, Cassie, I've been working on this while listening. We do our money each day and I handle the deposits. Go to local administrator, click cash reports to verify the amounts are correct. When we send the details off, we use a report that gives us all the details like workstation ID, patron ID, voided payments, etc. Can hook you up with that report from my coworker if you need it. We also use patron accounts for our cash stores and only use cash and check. So this helps us track it pretty easily. That sounds great.
Yes, please. Yes, that would be
I can
great,
do
Krista.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it really helps. We send it off to the accountant each time I do a deposit, and it, coincides with what the cash report shows each day. It just gives you all the information of where all that money went to,
Yeah.
so you're able to
We
track a little easier.
we have one that we use internally that's great.
Mhm.
It just doesn't match Evergreen. Did
Sure.
that make
Yeah,
sense?
this one
Like
always
ours
matches.
still,
So,
yeah, let's try it. Thank
okay.
you.
I didn't want to interrupt
Thank
this
you.
part, but I've been working on it on the side
No.
and wanted to send that.
We're just waiting for a report to run, right? We're
Sure.
Yeah,
That's
we're in
just
the
every
hangout
day.
time.
I really want to know whether that works for you because if it does, it's the kind of thing that like we should send it off over
Everybody,
the
yeah.
list and say like this is a really good cash report because I think it's the kind of thing a lot of people struggle with.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, Karen, it didn't work. I mean, not the Karen's move didn't work. My report didn't work. Leanne, I'm gonna work on this because that bugs me. I feel
Okay,
like that should
I
work.
appreciate it.
It should be totally possible. And it's the kind of thing that libraries will want to do. So I'll keep tinkering. I'll keep tinkering with that report. That was such a high note to end on. That Krista
Yay.
has a good report to share. Yay. Not that we're necessarily ending. If anyone has anything, they are welcome to chime in. It is a quarter till, and I recognize that people probably have other things to do coming up shortly.
I'll just throw this out there we're coming up on the end of our fiscal year, and I think we're probably the only library in the call that uses the acquisitions module. Marianne, I know you guys used to use the acquisitions module. Did you have like some cleanup reports or anything? I usually look at, what we've had long on order, what is anything in a pending status. Like I'm trying to like make sure I have all my
Well, we
everything
don't
cleaned up.
use where we we really like it that we don't have it anymore because between the updates and it was just not it was just didn't work. I'm just gonna say it. That's the nicest thing I could say. But we do have in a year as far as like I've run reports of like the on orders. And those are by dates. And so you can see it's like, oh, those things from July, that's, and looking to compare those with all of your cancellations and try to find out and get those order lines out of there because, or trace it back or see what there's a duplicate, all different reasons. So that's one thing. I know I just, this week I did go in the acquisitions because I look up, purchase orders and invoices, ones that aren't closed, those kinds of things. Those were cleanup things that we did a year ago when we were trying to get all that out of there. So, I mean, that's all I can, but just the reports that have those shelving locations and status stuff, those are really the easy ones to point out, but that's all I can. And of course, depending on, I mean, we send all our invoices to, the administrative assistant that pays all the bills and does that, and then those go to the accountant. So the accountant is really the one that keeps track of how much money those people have spent. It'd be great if everybody would keep track of their own. But we know that doesn't happen. It's just that's just how it is. Different people have different ways of doing things. But those are kind of our checks and balances without using because the numbers in acquisitions were never right anyway. So it really wasn't a good, to know what was being spent. Unless, you probably got it in a better shape than what we were doing because it was flying blind there for quite a while and trying to make it work. And it's like, why are we doing this when we don't really use that number to let people know what they really have? I mean, what we're just making all this extra work, and then when the update came, and then it was all, you had the legacy and the back and the forth of the, yeah. So anyway, but to answer your question without all that extra stuff, those are just kind of some of the reports to run to kind of, you know, keep the database as clean as possible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. That
Yeah.
that definitely makes sense.
I ran another version while we were chatting just to see what I can see, because I changed it to secondary just out of a curiosity, because I don't know if everyone else noticed this, but like all of our ID information actually ended up in secondary ID field, and primary ID field was blank. And then we checked a bunch of other libraries and it was the same, which is fascinating that we didn't notice for months, maybe years. I don't know. So I updated it for secondary and reran just out of curiosity. And also an unwillingness to be beaten by a report. So. Okay, I ran it. I have results. They're not incredible, but it's something. So you can see a bunch of blanks, which is a pretty common problem because I did my join incorrectly. So these are blank, which means that I should have done an inner join to get rid of the blanks and to limit to SSN only. But I think that means that the report is running. And actually checking those fields. And when they're blanks, you'll notice that it also disregards own registered library because these people should not be showing up on my report, because most certainly Kirkwood does not does not own this account. So I'll recreate post meeting. I'll recreate that report with an inner join. And test it again on primary to make sure we pull Karen's as we should. And then I can send that to you, Leanne, or to anyone who is interested.
Okay, appreciate that.
Can't believe we almost went the whole meeting without talking about inner joins. Now, if someone has a nullability question, we can really round it off with like the funnest concepts that are available to us in reports. Oh my goodness. Let's see. So our next meeting is, oh, I didn't write it down. Well, our next meeting is in July. You can always send questions to report help to get to a small group of people who enjoy tinkering with reports, or you can also email to the whole list if you want to share with everybody, because I actually think that's a really great way to learn, but that's entirely up to you. I don't love telling people that I couldn't figure something out, so I fully understand if you don't want to do that. But it's been really nice to see so many folks today. If anyone has a question, happy to stick around, but I don't have anything else on the agenda, so.
Thank you for your time and your experimenting.
Yes, thank you, Heather.
Thank everyone here for coming and for sharing their reports and reports knowledge and stories, because I feel like this cannot be done by one person. This is really a group effort. So thanks to everyone for coming and sharing.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thanks, Krista. I'll keep an eye out for that report.
I do want to hear, Cassie. I want to hear.
Everybody's going to find out. If this is the solution, everybody will know. I might take out a page in the paper or something. All right. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Hey, Krista, shout out to the other Krista. Oh, she's gone. Heather's always talking about, I like to see Heather's in. And I was like, look, there's another Krista. That's awesome.
Heather Nitzel knows how much I love Heather's.
Yes.
I also love
all
Krista's.
about the Heathers.
All it takes, thing is, it takes one nice person to make a name good. It takes one bad person to ruin a name forever.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't need any more Mikes or, whoever.
Heather, whose office are you in? I'm dying to know.
Madison's office.
Madison's office. I love it.
She snuck it at some point and was like, ooh.
All right. I am out of here. It was lovely seeing y'all.
Bye-bye.